Howdy guys, welcome back to Deal by Deal episode 21. The year is 2014. We had a piece of land that we purchased and I got this for $15,000 and I had an owner finance it with 0% interest. So I thought the land was worth a little bit less than that, or I wanted to get it for a little bit less than that, but he was stuck on the price. So I tell people that I'll buy any property at any price if I get to name the terms. And in this case, the 0% interest made it a good deal. So I gave him a couple $1,000s down, and then I made monthly payments, I think, of about $300 a month for a few years until it was paid off. This property was supposed to have a well and septic on it, and it had a mobile home that had burned down, and they had cleaned up the lot. So it was ready to drag another mobile home onto and sell it. So I bought another mobile home for I think $3,000 or $4,000, and then we had to move it to the location. Now to move it there, we had paid around $4,000 in the past to move it on the ones that we had moved. And so my partner, this one I was doing myself, but my partner and some of my other investments, he said, well, why don't we just buy a truck and move it ourselves? So he went and bought a truck and I paid him to move it instead of the trucking company. So we got a permit from the Department of Transportation to move a building of that size. And we moved the place ourselves. We got the permit, and we got the pilot cars and the oversized things, and I followed behind, and we got it moved over there. So it worked pretty smooth. He bought a truck to move this that was a 1969 truck, and the mobile home was also 1969. So I thought that was kind of neat putting them back together and getting that moved. We had a hard time getting it back up the hill and into the spot, but we made it happen. We did damage it a little bit, but it was kind of a fixer-upper property already. One of the things that we learned when we moved this is when I purchased the home, the mobile home, everything was working. It was set up on another lot that they needed to do something else with, and the lights were working and the plumbing was working and everything like that. Well, once we took this really old home, bounced it down the road to the tune of about 10 or 15 miles from one part of the valley to the other, when we finally got it all set back up, we're doing some trim work and some paint and re-skirting it, putting it on blocks again. Well, now we hooked it back up to the electricity, and all the lights in this home were flickering. And if you're not an electrician, the reason those are flickering, the lights and the outlets were intermittent, is because the fixtures themselves, there was a loose connection. And so you've got the two wires that aren't quite touching, and they're arcing back and forth, creating electricity that starts fires, especially in a tinderbox like an old mobile home like that. And so it was arcing all over all the time. So I had to rewire the whole thing, which was a big expense I didn't plan on. The reason that happened on this home in particular was, of course, bouncing it down the road made all the outlets where you connect the outlets and the lights and the switches. It made all those connections loose. But a big part of the reason why is because this old mobile home had aluminum wiring in it. When electricity goes through the wires and heats them up, the metal will expand or contract as it gets hot and cold. And the reason they don't use aluminum anymore is because aluminum does that more than copper does. So now the homes all have copper in them instead of the aluminum. Well, this one didn't. And by the time, sitting around for decades being used and then bounced down the road, whole place needed to be rewired. So that was a big expense for a cheap property that I didn't anticipate. But it still worked out. I found a guy that could do it on the side instead of hiring a big electric company. It was an electrician that did it just, after hours type of thing, but it still was a few $1,000s to rewire this home. So we got all fixed up and sold it on owner finance for about $70,000, or maybe it was $65,000. And I think we got $10,000 down payment. At the time, the couple that I sold it to, the lady had a job and he worked some odd jobs, and that was the type of buyer that was a good fit for that property. But she shortly thereafter lost her job and failed to get another one, and the mister went to jail, I think, or in and out of jail. And the situation wasn't good. She moved in some of her adult kids, and it was it became kind of a untenable situation, and of course they quit paying. So I had to take the property back. She did give it back to me, deed in lieu of foreclosure, instead of the foreclosure, and she was just in a really bad spot because her kids were abusing her and stuff, and she needed to go to a place that could take care of her. And so at that point, the kids were basically squatting in there They trashed the place. I mean, they weren't paying the utilities, so the heat was off. So they put a wood stove in the living room and piped it out a window that they broke and wrapped some towels around the piping. They were burning the cabinets for heat. It was absolutely horrible. So this is the property out of all the owner finance properties I've ever sold that they treated the worst and trashed the most, and I still made a lot of money. Owner financing, these Teisco wraps are really, really forgiving. Real estate in general is forgiving, but the place was trashed. I mean, when I sold it to them, it was livable, and I mean, I would have lived there. It was just an old trailer, but it was fine. Had carpet, had fresh paint, everything worked. When I got it back, it was such a big project that I didn't even want to mess with it. We had other projects on our plate, so we sold it as is on owner finance, and sold it to someone else to fix it up. Eventually, they ended up not working out, and I think I brokered it for them. So this one moved like 3 different times, and the person I sold it to most recently was 3 or 4 years ago, and they were able to get it paid off completely this last year. So it'd be hard to calculate how much money I made in interest and a couple different down payments over the years, but I was only into this thing for about $30,000 between the land, the trailer, the electric, cleanup costs when I'd gotten it back, and stuff. So probably 30,000, and I had sold it the first time for close to 70, gotten down payments, gotten interest over the years. Because I sold it for less the next time when it was really trashed. I think I sold it for like 45,000 or something, but I'd already gotten 10,000 down plus payments, and I made interest when I sold it the second time too. So it ended up being, I mean, I probably got $80 or $90,000 over the years on a $30,000 investment. Was work babysitting this one, and this was, it was the one that was treated worse than any property I had ever sold on owner finance. It was absolutely trashed, and I still made a really good return on this. So that's how forgiving these Teisco style deals are. I've never lost money on a piece of real estate, and these Teisco style deals, even if they're boring, they're just making a ton of money. So anyways, hope that even my worst example can give you inspiration. Get it out there and get her done. If everything goes wrong, you damage the trailer when you're moving it, and then you have to rewire everything, and then your first buyers completely trash it and are burning the flooring and the cabinets for heat, you still make money. Anyways, have a great day. If you guys have any real estate needs whatsoever, please reach out. In the meantime, please like, subscribe, share, follow, comment, and you can find me on any of these other places that you enjoy your content. So thanks very much. Really appreciate it.